formation of crystals from sugar saturated water. They are basically one of the very few crystals that you can grow at home and eat. Fun fact about sugar though is that up until 200 CE, we didn't know how to refine sugar, but because of that amazing discovery, now we can have homemade treats like this. Originally though, during the 18th century, sugar crystals were mostly used for medicine. It wasn't until almost towards the end of the 18th century where people started using them, or discovered that they can also be used as homemade treats. So what you will need to complete the procedure is the following: water, sugar of course, a pan, fire or a stove, something to stir it with, a container, preferably a jar, paper towels, and a wooden skewer. So what you will need to do to make your own sugar crystals at home is simply place the sugar into a boiling pot. Your source of heat should be preferably a stove. After that, this option is optional. Place food coloring to add color to your sugar crystal. Next, let the solution cool down. Like obviously you don't want to burn yourself. Fourth, pour the solution into a jar. Then place your wooden skewers into the jar. After that, you're gonna want to cover it up. That way your solution doesn't get contaminated. After that, you're gonna want to leave it there. Let it rest for a couple of days. Don't disturb it at all, or else you're gonna mess this whole thing up. Yeah, it will take a few days for your crystals to start forming. So, like, if you see crystals forming around the edges of the jar, you can just simply take another wooden skewer and scrape them off and eat them. Yeah, finally, after the whole week's process is done, you can finally take them out and enjoy them. So the results of this experiment were, well, you should, after a couple of days, you should see a couple of, like, depending on how many crystals you make, after a couple of days, you're gonna see your crystals, and you will be able to enjoy them.
Alright, so, it's me, Joshua Studios Cervantes from period 1, right? So then there's the science behind it, right? So then for this, I guess you could say, experiment of sugar crystals, there's a molecule that plays a major role, and that molecule is called sucrose, which is a combination of, I believe, fructose and glucose, which is together. And what keeps them together is intermolecular forces. And well, as you can see, I forgot my line, so I'm going to read it from here. Intermolecular forces are also involved, since that keeps sucrose molecules together, but start to weaken when the water is involved. Sucrose, right? Yeah. Sucrose then bind with water molecules, which keeps them away from the crystal and into the solution, which is then added along the granulated sugar to make the formation of crystals. And equilibrium takes place too, together, which was in the first period, right? Equilibrium is also taking place because if you add more heat, the molecules will separate. But if you add more granulated sugar, don't really know how to pronounce that word, there will be a lot more crystals formation. So in a way, the Catholic principle is also taking place, right? Yeah. Okay, and then that leads to the summaries. And the first summary, just pretty much the three major things that played in the experiment, which was intermolecular forces, which kept the sugar together, right? And then it's equilibrium, so there's like an equal amount of water and an equal amount of sugar, which is going to form the crystals. And the layer principle, which is kind of the same as equilibrium, but not necessarily. But then those three played a major role in this experiment to make this possible, which made the water and sugar into crystals. Summary 2 is just me talking about, well, us talking about how chemistry doesn't always have to you know, just be inside a chemistry classroom, I guess you could say, because this is pretty much, you know, chemistry is going on here. It's not just water and sugar going to, you know, to make a sweet. It's actually a lot of chemistry around it, you know. And then the third summary is just pretty much what we learned, which is, you know, again, you know, equilibrium and molecular forces and Le Chaffer's principle. And then what we also learned is that, you know, sugar could actually transform. It's not just a solid, you know, like this right here, or it's not. It doesn't just dissolve to it. It could actually change its forces, which at first, like when it boils here, when all the water evaporates, it leaves like a weird little, somewhat solid yet liquid form. You know, not necessarily solid or liquid, but somewhere in that state. Which that then turns into a solid again. You know, it has like solid change, phase changes, I guess you would say. And that was all of summary number 3. Yeah.